Hello boys and girls, welcome to the library for arts and crafts. Today we're going to make a paper bag lion in honor of our new month, March, because there's an old saying, March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb. And that's because it can be a windy month. This month can have a lot of wind, might even be a good kite flying month. Let me show you how to make this paper bag puppet. Of course, you'll need a little lunch bag. And you'll need some black and orange construction paper, and I used some black yarn for his whiskers. You could use brown or another color if you have it. You could even use a marker if you don't have any yarn. And I did use some Google Eyes. Of course, you could use beads or buttons, something else if you don't have the Google Eyes. And you'll need glue and scissors. So, to start out, you'll want to put his mane around his face. And it's that part of the bag that lifts up like that. So you're just going to circle around his face, or this part of the bag, to make his face. And I just took my orange construction paper and cut off a strip about like that, maybe a couple of inches wide. And then I turned it sideways so that I could cut some fringe, just slicing along carefully and making it look like hair, because that's going to be the lion's mane. All that fluffy hair around his face. So once you cut enough of this, you'll want to cut it into sizes that will encase that little piece of the paper bag. So I've got my strip there, and I'm just going to, I think I'll start with the short sides right there, and that's only about 2.5 inches. So I'm going to cut off a little piece of the fringe like that, and then I'm going to make the other one the same size, same length for the other side. So now I've got 2 pieces to go on either side of the lion's face. Now that's going to stick out a little too far, so I'm going to trim it a little bit on both sides and do the same with this one, and a little bit shorter here. So now I can glue that on to the sides of his head. Just a little bit of glue so it's not too drippy. And that sticks off the side just a little bit. There we go. Leaving a space in the middle for his face, so I can put his eyes and nose and mouth in there. Now I need to make sure I get the length going across the top of his head, and I can just lay my paper down and see about how long that needs to be. And I'll just trim it off right there before I even do the fringe. And then I need another one, that same length. So I'm going to cut it just the same length. And now I've got 2 pieces here. And I can put them together to save time while I'm cutting my fringe. So now I just go along just like I did before. And these are maybe 1/8 of an inch little tiny fringe strips. And there we have it. So now I'm going to glue those across the top and the bottom of his face, just putting a line of glue, and that should be enough to put the rest of his mane on. And now, so that he doesn't have such a square mane, you could leave it like that if you want to, but I trimmed off the edges or the corners and kind of rounded it out on all 4 sides. And there's his mane. And now it's time to put his facial features on. So you'll need your black paper. Doesn't take much, and I actually have a little scrap here, so I'm going to use that. You can make a triangle, and then if you want to, you can round off 2 of the corners. Let's see here. And there's kind of a diamond shape or a triangle without its corners. 2 of the corners were cut off. I'm going to put that right in the middle. I need to lift his mane up just a little bit to make a little more space for his face. So you can, before it dries, you can move the mane around if you see it's getting in the way of your lion's face. So I'm putting his nose right there in the middle, and then I'm going to draw kind of a forward J and a backward J to make his smile, or fish hooks. So there's his mouth, and I'm going to put these little Google eyes on so that he can see. And lastly, we'll need the yarn for his whiskers, because lions are cats and they have whiskers. So there we have everything except the whiskers, and now I'll cut some yarn about 2 inches per piece. That's probably a good length, and just one little line of glue will hold it on. Let me do several of those. I put about 3 on each side. You could do 3 or 4. And it's sticking to my fingers with all the glue. So now, if you want to, you can lift up his little nose and tuck the yarn up underneath. But that's not necessary, just if you want to. And mine, of course, needs to dry, but I'm going to lift it up and see if it'll stay together anyway. So here is my paper bag lion. He's coming in, the march is coming in like a lion and going out like a lamb, we hope. But because it might be windy out, now that it's March, I've got some books to show you, and one is called Kite Day. This one's a Bear and Mole story written by Will Hillerbrand, and I love this book. I love Bear and I love Mole. They decide to make a kite together because they realize that spring is here and it's time to get outside. So they make a kite. Let me see if I can show you the picture of them constructing their kite. They work really hard on it and they take it out, but a big storm brews up because it's March, and the kite gets carried away in the storm and their string breaks. You'll have to come to the library to find out what happens to their kite. I will tell you it has a nice, happy ending. Then there's also the book Green, and this one's by Laura Seeger. This is a really neat book. It's got all kinds of animals featured and fruits and other things, all kinds of things that are green all around us. Oh, look at this tiger hiding in the green grass. And here's a green zebra. I don't think so. That's just in the illustrator's imagination. But here's a slow green. Can you see that caterpillar or an inchworm? All kinds of fun things that are green, because green is what we think of in March. I hope I'll see you at the library soon. Thanks for joining me today. Bye-bye.